It's that time of the year again, Trinidad and Tobago Restaurant Week. In its fifth year at TT Restaurant Week, has grown from 19 to 80 participating restaurants. And according to its founder, Shira Mohammed, it promises to be bigger and better than ever. For the first time since its inception, TTRW has partnered with the Port of Spain Rotary for the TTRW Showcase. Dionne Baptiste chatted with Shira Mohammed, who founded Restaurant Week, and Daniel Fakoory, director of the Port of Spain Rotary.
Good morning and welcome. This morning we're talking food. Joining me on set, I have Shira Mohammed and Daniel Fakoory, who are here to talk about the 2017 Trinidad and Tobago Restaurant Week. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Shira, I want you to start by telling me about how Restaurant Week was conceptualized.
Wow. Okay, so I love food. I love to share. And, that essentially got me to thinking, how can I eat at more restaurants? Because I want to sample all these different foods. But of course, whether it's budgetary constraints or timing or whatever, there has really never been a period and point in my life where I've been able to literally just go out every night for dinner over a period of time. And then I started hearing about this Restaurant Week in different parts of the world. There's Restaurant Week in Jamaica, that's close to us. There's Restaurant Week in Guyana. And I thought to myself, but wait, why doesn't Trinidad have a Restaurant Week? Restaurant Week would be perfect because I would get to sample new dishes. And if I don't like them, you know what, it's not a big deal because they would have been on special anyway. So it gives us a very good opportunity to be able to sample these dishes. So I said, maybe we should have a Restaurant Week, and I'm an event coordinator, and therefore I decided to give it a go. Took me 2 years though, because not having anything to work with preceding, no type of event preceding Restaurant Week, or no type of event such as Restaurant Week. We had to kind of create our own. So whereas, New York and Jamaica would have their own, but they have their own model.
Yeah.
And their model does not work for us. So it took me 2 years meeting with restaurants because, of course, they're the most important part of Restaurant Week, different chefs and so on. And we actually managed to tailor an event that would be both, profitable for the restaurant, as well as offer Trinidad and Tobago a wide variety of dishes for people to sample. And of course, we have sponsors on board who contribute financially and therefore make it worthwhile for the restaurant to be able to afford to give these lovely discounts. So it kind of, it's a holistic type of event, and it's a festival. Trinidadians like to lime, yes. Trinidadians like to eat. Why not have a good reason, other than birthdays and Christmas and so on, why not have another good reason where you can actually go out and sample dishes and enjoy a good meal with friends, have a few laughs, have a few drinks, in a nice environment where you are being served as opposed to, a fast food outlet and so on.
That's fantastic. Are you satisfied with the growth of Restaurant Week?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, I never thought it would get this big. Now, I knew there were a lot of restaurants in Trinidad and Tobago. But the year one, we had 19 restaurants. That kind of doubled in year two. Year three was also pretty big. Last year, we had 50 restaurants. This year, we were trying to stop at 70, but we have a lot more that want to come on board. And actually, today is our deadline. So by the end of the day, I would be able to know exactly how many, but we're probably looking at closer to 80 restaurants this year.
Wow.
So that has grown tremendously over the years. And that is so because, once again, Trinidadians love to eat. So this is a fantastic opportunity for everyone to come out and sample and go out and, take whoever that special person is, out to enjoy a meal. Companies take advantage of it to, host their staff at luncheons.
Okay.
It's a great opportunity to have meetings, luncheon meetings. So it really is, pretty well received. And I think the response that it has gotten over the years is what is contributing towards a restaurant who's never participated before, saying, hey, I'm missing out on that. I need to be part of Restaurant Week this year because I need to be able to, be one of those restaurants that I can be selected for these type of, events and functions and, and just limes.
Great. So Daniel, just to get you into the conversation here, I want you to tell me about the Rotary's involvement in this year's Restaurant Week.
All right. Well, given Rotary's history, it's a charitable organization, and the current economic conditions, we have been looking for more innovative ways of fundraising. And the typical charitable drives we used to do in the past, especially seeking financial sponsorship from corporations and individuals alike, it's becoming more and more difficult. So we had to be more innovative, as I said, and we were blessed to partner with Shira and her team at Restaurant Week to come up with a event this year called Trinidad and Tobago Restaurant Week Showcase. The whole concept is that we will have an event preceding Restaurant Week on Sunday, September 10th, that will showcase some of the restaurants that will be partaking in Restaurant Week. So for the price of a ticket, you can come and sample a wide variety of the restaurants, drinks inclusive, desserts, as well as special stations and sponsorships at the event. So Rotary will be the direct beneficiary of this event. It's strictly a charitable event. All proceeds go to the Rotary Club of Port of Spain for our list of projects and services that we do.
Okay, fantastic. And what has the response to the showcase been so far?
Great. People are intrigued. People are very interested. But being the first year, people aren't sure what it is. So it's a very simple concept. It's a food festival with some of the best named restaurants in the country taking part. And price of one ticket, you get to sample a wide variety of foods and drinks and so on.
Now, it goes without saying that all the restaurants that are participating in this year's Restaurant Week wouldn't be able to participate in the showcase. How did you guys go about selecting?
Well, we sent out the request most of the restaurants when Shira is communicating to them initially for Restaurant Week. She asked about their interest, and most of them were interested, but because of constraints of one sort of the other, obviously we can't have all of them.
Yeah.
So it's a first come first served basis. You know, we have limited spaces available, stations available, and when those stations fill up, it fills up.
Okay, and what's the cost of the tickets?
The tickets are at $4.75. As I said, it's all inclusive, so you sample a wide variety of all different foods, sampling plates from all different foods, restaurants, but also drinks inclusive, desserts, as well as different giveaways on the night itself.
And coffee.
And coffee.
Great. That's important. Shira, so Trinidad and Tobago Restaurant Week is in its 5th year.
Yes.
Taking into consideration the fact that we're suffering from a slowed economy globally, how have you been able to sustain the brand?
Okay, so Restaurant Week is heavily supported by corporate Trinidad and Tobago, in that the more financial contributions we get from corporate Trinidad and Tobago is the less the restaurant would have to contribute to the entire program to be able to make it happen. Of course, like with any event, there are overheads that need to be covered. There are costs involved in organizing this grand event. And that's really what we try to do, just cover the expenses. This year, we've had a little cutback on that sponsorship. So whereas sponsors are still on board and still very much interested, and they don't want to let go of what they've built with us for Restaurant Week, we find that their financial contribution is no longer what it used to be. However, we have Scotiabank who's on board, and they're giving a 3% reimbursement on anyone who uses the Scotiabank card to pay for any restaurant. So at the end of the day, we do benefit.
Yeah.
You know, we may not have as much money as we would have had last year in covering expenses, but we have more restaurants on board. So we have more people pooling to the pot, and we are now able to cover our expenses, even though we didn't have the financial contribution from corporate Trinidad and Tobago like we did. We still have a lot contribution.
Okay.
It's just that it's not as much as last year. And then AMCO, they're offering fantastic discounts to restaurants on their products, so that the restaurant now does not have to absorb all of the discount that they pass on to us. So it really is quite holistic the way it works. Sponsors get on board, sponsors are able to work with the restaurants and build relationships with the restaurants, help the restaurants to afford discounts. Restaurants put together these fantastic menus. They offer discount for us to eat.
That's great.
So the economy, yes, I mean, we have felt the pinch, but I would not say that it has hampered the event at all. As a matter of fact, I think people are going to come out even more now because it's a special. It's not, I'm not asking you to spend $500 or anything like that. It's, I mean, you can get a fantastic meal for $120.
True. And I noticed no restaurant week for Tobago this year. Care to share why?
Sure. Last year we tried having a separate restaurant week for Tobago. My concept was always Trinidad and Tobago. We're one country. There's really no reason why we should have it separate. However, in meeting with restaurants in Tobago, they thought that a different time of year would be better for them. And they wanted to have this restaurant week during August, which we tried last year. This year, however, they decided, it's not making much sense, and, they didn't feel confident that they would get the turnout that they were expecting. So we have a couple restaurants listed from Tobago. So if anyone downloads our app, TTRW, they would see all the restaurants listed, and we do have some participating restaurants in Tobago. It's just that it's not going to be a separate week. It's Trinidad and Tobago Restaurant Week in September from the 15th to the 24th in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's really, yes. And we've, surprisingly enough, we've been getting calls from people living in Tobago asking us when is Restaurant Week happening, and what restaurants are partaking. So that means that, I think I'm going to get a good turnout.
Okay, great.
I'm confident.
How did you come up with September, though? Why did you choose September for the days?
Right, so remember I said that we met with restaurants for about 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years of meeting with different chefs and restaurant owners and managers and tweaking. Our first year, we had Restaurant Week in October. And what we realized was that it was a little bit difficult because it was too close to the Christmas rush. Restaurant owners then asked if we can have a restaurant week at some time of the year where it is actually one of the slowest periods. And September is one of the slowest periods, if we didn't know before, but now we know. September is actually the slowest period, or was the slowest period for restaurants prior to Restaurant Week. Back to school, people just came back from a 2-month, holidaying period, so lots of expenses would have occurred over the past, the previous 2 months, July and August, books to buy, uniforms to buy. So September, you're not really looking to spend too much money on dining out. But now we have a reason to.
Yeah.
And we have specials to be able to appreciate. So restaurant now is no longer the slowest time of year for restaurants.
Okay, and what would you say has been some of the biggest challenges that you have encountered?
Okay, my biggest challenge, first of all, is getting restaurants to trust that it would work. Restaurants were very interested and very eager because, of course, everyone in the industry is familiar with restaurant weeks. They just did not, they weren't too sure that it would work in Trinidad. And simply because it's a totally new concept for us. There's nothing that ever happened in Trinidad and Tobago that's like it. So there was nothing to compare it to, no history to go by. They just had to rely basically on, trust.
Okay.
So getting restaurants to be stakeholders of the event was a very tough challenge for me. The second most challenging part was trying to explain how the concept works and what it is. So we don't take reservations.
Okay.
Reservations are made at the restaurants. We're just organizing this. We're just pulling strings and putting things together.
Okay.
So people go directly to the restaurants. The restaurants get the opportunity to showcase their best dishes and new offerings. So it really is a restaurant diner experience. And, so year one, it was a little difficult trying to make people understand that because people thought it was an event, a one-day event or a 2-day event where they would go to a location, similar to what we're doing for the showcase, which is why we have a lot of faith in the showcase that it will do well, because that's a normal concept that people have in their minds. So those two things, beginning, it was really very challenging.
Daniel, whose idea was it? Was it the Rotary's idea, or was it Trinidad and Tobago Restaurant's idea to come up with the showcase?
I'll say a combination. We have been meddling with the idea of a food festival. We have done it in the past with Men Who Can Cook type events. Our most recent was Top of the Avenue that we held at Princess Elizabeth Center for the last 5 years, but we wanted to do something different this year. We wanted to be a little more innovative, and we spoke with Shira. It just happened to mesh at the same time as Restaurant Week, so we said, you know, this could be a idea that can work. And she was on board. She's always wanted to do a charity event, and it just happened to match up with our initiatives at the time.
Okay, so you mentioned that there will be a lot of giveaways and stuff like that at the showcase. You want to give the viewing public an idea as to what they could expect?
Food, plenty food.
Yeah.
You know, the restaurants themselves will be given a nice sampling plate of what they are capable of, or giving you a taste of what they can offer during restaurant week, as well as we will have our own Rotary station. This Rotary station is a supplemental station where we will have a wide variety of other types of foods and unique foods that you won't probably get at these fine dining restaurants. So you're going to leave there with your belly full. You're going to be very satisfied with the food offerings, the drink offerings, as well as the wide selection of desserts that we'll be having on display and giving away.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, any final words from either of you?
What I would like to do is encourage people to download the TTRW mobile app. So this year we have 2 new additions to Restaurant Week, the program, the event. One is a fundraising event, which we've been toying with for, like in Daniel said, for quite some time. This year is the perfect year to do it. And the second is the TTRW mobile app. So this app is really very easy to use. And because we have so many restaurants on board, 80 something, this app allows people to be able to filter through by price category, by meal options, by locations. And then you can even click on a restaurant and say, take me there, and it gives directions to the restaurant. You know, it uses whatever apps you have on your phone, whether it's Waze or Google Maps, to get you there. So, you know, it's a fantastic app. It just organizes everything, puts all restaurants in the palm of your hand. Easy. You could share restaurants. You could put a wish list, add a restaurant to a wish list. It really is quite handy. So the app, Restaurant Week, was firstly publicized through social media. And now we're finding that since we've introduced the app, that is now switching to, you know, people are now logging onto the app because it's so easy to use. It's a lot more organized. It really is like a little organizer.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Of course, that was Dionne Baptiste there chatting with Daniel Fakoory and Shira Mohammed.